Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Today, we're going to talk about our brains. And yesterday, we talked about, physical wellness and the impact of it on our longevity and on our mental health. But I specifically want to talk about our intellect and our brain health as a whole. And obviously, the question is, well, why does this matter to EMS? Well, I would think that your brain health kind of matters because what makes EMS special, in my opinion, is how important our brains are to our job. I don't mean that to say that firefighters don't have to use intellect and problem solving and strategy for fighting fire. I don't mean that at all. But ultimately for their job, what matters is they get in there, they fight the fucking fire, they put up with the heat and the dangerous environment, and they make shit happen, and then they're done. And law enforcement, same thing. Yes, lots of intellect. They know a whole lot more about the law than I do. They have to make a lot more decisions than I do about that kind of thing. But they also have to go catch bad guys. And they have to be able to deal with being in a fight and deal with risky situations. For EMS, yes, there are cool skills that we do. There's important skills that we do. But ultimately, our brain is what is the most important factor in all of this. Our ability to foster a healthy intellect is so incredibly important and extends far beyond reading medical journals and EMS books. And outside of paramedic school, I don't think I've cracked open an EMS themed book ever. Obviously, other than, like PHTLS, ACLS, whatever, the stuff part of, keeping up with my certifications. But as far as just for personal pleasure and personal development, no, I don't read EMS books. Not because there's anything wrong with them, I just don't. But I have found that being able to teach yourself new things, absorb new information, increase the capabilities of your intellect broadly has a dramatic impact on your patient care and on your ability to do your job well as a paramedic or as an EMT. I will harp on this too. EMTs, the only thing I do different as a paramedic when it comes to assessing a patient, the only thing that I do different that an EMT can't do, or at least can't interpret, is an EKG. That's it. Everything else, you can interview a patient the same way I can. You can ask them all kinds of questions the same way I can. You can listen to lung sounds, belly sounds the same way I can. You can palpate the same way I can. Your eyeballs work the same way that mine do. You have all of the skills as an EMT to properly assess a patient the same way as a paramedic does. It's just a matter of, okay, well, you throw in an EKG in there and boom, you have, another critical assessment tool, which is crucial, but it's a tool. So this isn't just about, paramedics being, paragods. This is about EMTs and paramedics caring and investing in their intellect and bettering their patient care that way. So one thing I would say, we've all heard the expression, happy wife, happy life, whatever. It's bullshit. And Michelle will tell you that faster than I will even. That's fucking bullshit. But I would say if you have a healthy mind, you have a happy life, because your brain is like a muscle. And when you train it appropriately, you give it the proper fuel that it needs, it will work for you. It will help you. It will make your life better. But you have to take care of it. And I'm sorry, a cell phone and everything on it does not have what your brain needs to be healthy. Sure, you can get books on Kindle, and sure, you can listen to audiobooks on it. Okay, cool, I get that. I listen to podcasts as much as anybody else. But at that point, it's just the phone is just a medium for conveying the information to you. It is not, you're not playing into the algorithm by reading those books. The way to grow your intellect is to stay outside of an algorithm. So, sure, there's a lot on YouTube that is very educational, very informative. I use it all the time. But it's a tool. And it's something that I come to very purposefully, and is not let me just, scroll through and find a bunch of shit to like and share and whatever. I'm coming to it with the intention of learning. Being able to expand your knowledge base into different topics, into philosophy, psychology, into different aspects of technology, even if you're interested in the AI revolution, if you're interested in politics, if you're interested in history, whatever. Going and learning new things and absorbing new information will do so much for your brain health and will keep your brain sharper so that when you're on those shit show calls, your brain doesn't get complacent. Your brain is used to processing, seeing, and hearing new things, because it is so easy for us to get complacent in EMS with, oh, I've seen this before. I fall prey to this all the time. I have to actively work hard to not fall into this rut of, my God, I have literally run dozens of calls just like this one. Cool, my brain tunes out, I'm out. Okay, we're human. We're human. I get that. But when you're used to keeping your brain sharp, suddenly your brain, it doesn't find the mundane as stressful, and it's also more alert to new information. So, yes, having all the experience in the world is great, and having run the same kind of call dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of times, is great. And that can be useful if you're actually using that experience to say, hey, I think I have a clue what's going on here. Let's kind of dig a little bit deeper, versus, oh, there's nothing wrong. This is fucking bullshit, whatever, and completely tuning out. So that is where you slip up and you hurt people. That's where you slip up and make those mistakes that end your fucking job. So having your brain sharp and ready to process new information, constantly pushing its boundaries, it's keeping that neural activity active and forming new pathways. And sure, that sounds nerdy and boring and what have you, but remember, we live and operate in such a dynamic workplace. You never know what your patients are going to throw at you. You never know what kind of new disease processes you're going to learn. I've encountered different, illnesses and diagnoses that some stuff I'd never heard of before, or I hadn't seen it ever. Like, I had a patient not terribly long ago. It was a younger individual who had Wolff Parkinson White. I hadn't seen Wolff Parkinson White since fucking medic school, almost 10 years ago. I was like, I know kind of what it is, but let me go, do a little bit of digging and figure out what I should or shouldn't be doing right now. And that was a good educational experience for me. And because I was receptive to it, it wasn't this, oh shit, I don't know what to do. Like, we're just gonna put you on the monitor, and I'm gonna start an IV and give you fluids and maybe some oxygen, and we're just gonna hope nothing goes wrong. No, that doesn't do any good. You have put your brain in lockdown mode at that point, and you're not receptive to learning anything new. You are in pure fight or flight mode, and that's not going to do you or your patients any good. So instead, looking at those opportunities as a learning opportunity, to say, hey, I need to brush up on this. I'll give you another example. And again, this is one I think I've talked about before, but I had a patient who, and I can't remember the name of I can never remember the name of the disease process, but she had endometrial tissue in her lungs. So every time that she would have her menstrual cycle, she would have an pneumothorax. When I first heard it, I was like, that's fucking horseshit. Ain't no way. But then I found out that, oh, this is actually something that is real, and it afflicts maybe like 100 people worldwide. So being in a position where you're receptive to learn stuff like that benefits your patients. Thankfully, in my encounter with this patient, they had already had their menstrual cycle, and they were midway between, and that was not the issue. but it's still kind of a little bit of a pucker factor when you walk in and that's the first thing you hear. You're like, oh, fuck me. I don't want to deal with that's not good. But being mentally sharp enables you to provide better patient care. It enables you to be a better partner. And I would argue that it gives you a much happier, healthier life. You gain perspective when you're constantly pushing and increasing your knowledge. You're able to see the world very differently and keep a bigger picture on different events than you would otherwise. And I have found it to make my life a lot less stressful. No, I'm not saying like, oh, I'm this incredible intellectual. No. I like to read. I like to absorb new information. I like to find out what I don't know. And us having that mentality and that skill set in EMS is invaluable. Absolutely invaluable. So my number one takeaway for this is spend some time and figure out what you don't know. And then figure out what you want to know. Of that pool of things that you don't know, what are the things that interest you? What are the things that you would actually like to go learn more about? And that process of analyzing yourself and coming up with a game plan forward and actually absorbing and retaining new information will do wonders for your life. So that's all I got for you guys. Be safe. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye bye.